Everybody, it's Leeroy from Leeroy Gaming, and today I have another Outriders video for you with another Technomancer build. Today I have for you my Killer Medic build. Now this is an interesting little take and modification on a traditional Blighted Rounds build. My goal for this was threefold. So number one, I want to make sure this is a build that could self-sustain lots of DPS. As you would expect of any Blighted Rounds build. But number two, I wanted to put a contingency in place in case you lost Blighted Rounds, which can happen, especially in multiplayer. And then feeding into the multiplayer concept, I wanted to include a mechanic that could stack with other similarly built, doesn't have to be exactly built, but similarly built Technomancers to stack DPS where you buff each other quite significantly. So if you're looking for a Blighted Rounds build that has really good co-op potential, that scales really well, in fact you can basically triple one of your DPS bonuses if you were to play, for example, with 3 different Technomancers, well, this build is for you. So as with all my videos, guys, remember, I'm going to have extensive timestamps below. We're going to be talking about the skills, the skill nodes. We're going to be talking about equipment, both armor and weapon options. I will discuss the mods. I'll show you how the kill rotation and skill rotation needs to be. And as always, we're going to have for you a full CT15 run through. So if you want to see how this is in action, this is a great way to check it out, especially if you're a beginner and you want to see how this gets done. All right, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Without further ado, let's jump on in and check out my Killer Medic build. All right, as always, we're going to start with the skills, and for this build, we are of course going to be using Blighted Rounds. We are going to be using the Blighted Turrets as well. And then the other central part to this build is going to be Fixing Wave. And so this is going to be a way that we're going to increase the DPS of not just us, but also the rest of our party. And this is going to have a mechanic that stacks with every Technomancer. So if you have 3 Technomancers using the modification I'm going to be going over with you here, as well as the Fixing Wave skill, it's going to have some great stacking DPS potential. Next, we're going to look at the skill node selections here, and this is going to be primarily a Pestilence build, and we're going to dive into some tech gem on elements. Now, when it comes to the top Pestilence build, we're going to go pretty traditional build out here. We're going to go towards the top, want to get some of the nitrogen capsules to decrease the distance required to be long range, to take advantage of the bonuses to long range damage. We're going to make sure that we pick up all the boosts to damage versus enemies that are affected by toxic. This extra 50% magazine size is huge for the Blighted Rounds setup. And then of course we're going to get the capstone here. Now we're going to come down here to get exposing toxins, which is going to add vulnerability. Very importantly, our main reason for coming down here is we want to pick up these 2 gadgeteer nodes. It's going to give you an extra 30% cooldown to your gadgets, so that you can spam your healing ability. It's going to be boosting your DPS as well. And we're going to also pick up Fracture, an extra 10% of freezing damage as well. If you want a little extra survivability armor-wise, you could always get armor plates, but we're going to go for the extra DPS here. Next, let's take a look at weapons and armor. Now, when it comes to weapons, you're going to have 2 different weapons. Your primary weapon optimally should be Inferno Seed. This is the best variant of the assault rifle. It's going to have really good damage per bullet. It's got a great crit multiplier, decent clip. Wrath of the Moloch is a solid, nice AoE proc mod. And then most importantly, we want to throw Dark Sacrifice on here. If you don't have the Inferno Seed, you could roll a purple rifle and put Dark Sacrifice on it. In that case, what you would want to roll on it more often than not is the tier 2 version of the freezing bullets. So what you see here is the ultimate freezing bullets that can impact every 1 second. The normal freezing bullet is every 4 seconds. So that would be probably a secondary decent roll on there. Now, the reason we have Absolute Zero as a secondary gun is to swap over in scenarios where potentially you lose Blighted Rounds. This gun is not nearly as effective as the Inferno Seed because its single bullet damage is much lower, also lower crit multiplier, but it does let you continuously freeze enemies, so this is a way to guarantee the freeze effect and so that you can get the maximum damage from the bonuses to frozen enemies. So it is a backup weapon. You should hopefully not need to use it very often, but that's what it is here for. Now, armor. You are going to, with your helmet, have two options. If you are running solo versus if you are running in a group. If you are running solo, then you do need to freeze all your targets yourself. The easiest way to do this while using your Infernal Seed weapon is by setting up a custom helmet like this. Now notice we have bonus firepower, cooldown reduction on long range damage. This is optimal. You could also, if you have a poor roll and you can't get long range damage, close range damage isn't bad either because you're going to be in close range a decent amount of time as well. What's the most important is that you roll ice component on here or fixer upper. Whichever one you can get naturally, awesome, and then when you change the secondary, you're going to get whichever one you did not get. So this allows your blighted turret to freeze instead of providing a toxic effect. This is important because now you don't have to freeze with your main weapon. This will freeze your primary target and you can get that nice boost to DPS when you target those frozen enemies. And fixer upper is huge because it's going to apply a regeneration effect to you and all your allies. And we don't really care about the healing part, but this is going to synergize with the boots, as I'll show you in a second, to give a tremendous decrease in DPS for the whole group. Now for your chest piece, we want to get a custom chest piece again. You want to get bonus firepower. Now you could get cooldown reduction on here, but I chose to get long range damage and close range damage because I wanted that extra DPS boost regardless of whether we're in close range or long range. But again, if you are lucky and get a good bonus firepower roll for this with cooldown reduction, I would keep that as well. What you needed to roll is either Toxic Lead or Bloodlust, and as with the helmet, whichever one you do not roll, you need to apply the other. Bloodlust is going to be one of the ways that's going to increase your base firepower a lot, and this is important because you're going to have multipliers that increase your firepower by a certain percentage, but if your base firepower isn't that high, well then that percentage increase isn't going to be that impressive. So in this case, we want to make sure we get that Bloodlust so we can get that nice stack of firepower. And the Toxic Lead is how you keep your Blighted Rounds up. This is by far the most powerful version of the ammo regen that you have access to with this build. So kill shots will give you 40% of your ammo back, and that is amazing. Next, we're going to get the 3 pieces that are remaining of the Borealis Monarch set. We start with the legs. We love the bonus firepower long range damage. We don't really care about the status power that much. Unfortunately, all it really does is it increases the duration of your stuns a little bit, which is not bad. And it does increase the damage of your actual toxic damage over time effect, but that's not going to be a huge part of your damage. We would prefer to have cooldown reduction, but we don't get to choose that. What's important here is it's going to come with freezing boost, and we want to apply Euthanizer. If you do not have the tier 3 Euthanizer, there is a tier 2 version that gives you 15% more damage taken against enemies afflicted by toxin. That's your backup if you don't have Euthanizer. For your gloves, we have to sacrifice a little bit here. We're going to be getting max health instead of firepower, but to be honest, it'll give you a little bit more survivability, and we're making up the DPS in other areas. What's nice is the other stats are great. Cooldown reduction is amazing, and so is long range damage. It comes with Shatter. Again, 25% extra damage versus frozen targets, which you're going to be able to proc with the turret or in a pinch with your secondary gun. And then the cycle. The cycle is huge. Notice this right now says increase your weapon damage by 0%. It's based on your health regen. So what's going to happen is when you proc Fixer Upper, it's going to give you 10% weapon damage per 1%. So let me show you how this looks. So here we go. I cast this, and now for 5 seconds, you're going to get 50% weapon damage bonus. And this is not just for you, it's for your whole group. And so the key to this build is, let's say you get 3 Technomancers that they use this build, or at the very least combo Fixer Upper for their fixing wave with the cycle. Well, you will each give the whole group 50%. So if you have 3 Technomancers stacking this, it's going to give the whole group plus 150% weapon damage. It's insanely powerful. This is the key to this build. It also has the side effect of giving everybody a little bit of healing. And the key here is you're about a 10 to 11 second cooldown in the last 5 seconds. So it's got a decent uptime. You're going to want to be utilizing your fixing wave skill whenever you're fighting some elite. So don't spam it on cooldown, just spam it whenever you gotta fight a tougher ability, or at the very beginning. So when you have no buffs of Bloodlust, for example, and you need to kill a couple of things to stack that up, well, at that point, cast this to give you a 50% boost, helps you kill those initial targets and get the ball rolling. And finally, we have the Boots of the Borealis Monarch. Again, we're sacrificing having to get max health here instead of firepower, but it's okay. Again, the other stats are perfect: cooldown reduction and 10% long range damage. It comes with Sharp Eye, which is a perfect combo to go along with Bloodlust. This again is going to stack your firepower tremendously and going to allow these other percentage-based abilities and mods to play even a bigger role. And what we're adding is the Breathe In tier 3 mod here. It's going to lower the cooldown of your fixing wave by an additional 20%. This is how we get the cooldown of that toward that 10 to 11 second range. This is critical because this build is all about spamming that ability to boost your entire group's skills as much as you can. Now, I do want to point out, if you are playing in a group and other people are already consistently applying freeze effects, in those cases, you don't need this helmet. You can pick a different helmet that I'm going to show you. That's going to be helpful. And the easiest way to get it is just picking up this helmet here, Plague Sower Skull. And this one is going to basically give you splash boost. And so it's going to increase your splash effect radius of successful shots by 50%. It's going to give you more AoE. And then you can reroll the bottom one. Obviously, in this case, or you don't have to reroll it because you would have it in either place. So really, the big difference here is you're going to get close range damage boost instead of long range, but it's going to increase your AoE effect of Blighted Rounds. So again, this is only in group scenarios where you're not really having to apply ice when other people are freezing things and you're getting those immunity to CC messages. You can get the Plague Sour Skull, and that's a nice alternative. All right, now here's the good news when it comes to knowing how to play this in a match, and you're going to see it throughout the gameplay, but you always want to start with your Blighted Rounds up, and then obviously don't ever reload manually or switch weapons because you'll drop it. And then when you enter a combat, you want to always drop your turret. That's going to go ahead and give you a nice boost to your weapon damage. And then at the beginning, you're not going to have any stacks of your Sharp Eye and your Bloodlust. So you want to get that nice 50% initial damage boost to kill those first couple mobs. So go ahead and proc your heal. And now if there's elites, let's say this is an elite and these little boxes are small enemies, kill off the small enemies really quick. And that's going to stack your Bloodlust and Sharp Eye and then burn out an enemy. Once you get things rolling and in your head you're counting, hey, I've killed 3 things, then you're just on a roll. At this point, every 5 to 7 seconds, drop your turret to make sure that buff is going up again. And then if you are fighting an elite and you see your AoE heal up, proc that to maximize your DPS and keep on killing. So just kind of rinse and repeat. Now, of course, if your Blighted Rounds drop and you're using the setup where you have the helmet here, you swap weapons. Remember, you are still using your turret to apply the toxic effect. And then now your bullets will freeze things every 1 second. And so this is not going to be obviously as powerful, but you're still going to get all the frost damage bonuses. You're going to get all the toxic damage bonuses. And it's going to keep you from going wet noodle mode. And if you've ever played a Blighted Rounds build, when you lose your Blighted Rounds and you have no way of backing up your damage, you just do no damage for those 30 seconds, and this feels horrible. So this isn't quite as powerful, but it's gonna let you stay alive, keep killing, and as soon as your Blighted Rounds buff is back up, make sure to swap back over to your primary weapon, get the buff up again, and then rinse and repeat. Alright guys, so that's everything you need to know as far as the build goes. I know there's some little extra complexities with the gear options, but hopefully it all made sense and you guys can kind of customize it depending on what your situation is. Now let's go ahead and take a look at a CT15 run through. At the end of the run through, you're going to see the damage breakdown numbers. Alright guys, see you guys after the CT15 run. Alright guys, so I hope you guys enjoyed my Killer Medic build. This again, great for solo play, different ways to equip it depending on what your gear options are. And it also is one of the builds that really pushes for playing in a group with a Blighted Round setup, which is uncommon because as those people know that play Blighted Round builds, it's really solo focused and it punishes you for going in groups because you're missing kill shots and losing Blighted Rounds. This helps cover those bases and also potentially, if played well, can really synergize those damage bonuses across 3 different Technomancers if you play like that. Also helps other classes that are firepower based build as well, just not quite as much, but it is, I feel like, a really good overall build for either co-op or solo. Alright guys, hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. There are going to be more videos coming. There's going to be more content in the future. I know it's a bit of a low right now. I thought I'd bring this out to kind of hold you over until news on new things comes out. Till then guys, you guys have a good one, and I'll see you in the next video.